Hey, welcome to Keight's Krafts. I'm Keight. Today I would like to share with you a quick and simple winter card using some Distress Oxides and Lawn Fawn products. Let's get started. Starting off, I have the Stitch Snowflake backdrop die that I've already cut out from some American Craft pattern paper that has been discontinued. I speak about that in a previous video. I also have the giant Let It Snow die, which I've cut out of Bristol Smooth cardstock, and have added a piece of wide low-tack tape to hold everything together inside the paper. Hindsight, I probably should have used an extra piece of tape on the back side of the paper to hold the L down because I struggle with it a little bit. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I figured, well, if I can ink blend around all the bits here while it's still inside the paper, maybe I can use the negative bits to make another card, which you'll see at the end. I have a couple of bonus cards added to the end of the video. If you would like to check those out, please continue watching. So here I'm just going back and forth between the Distress Oxide Tumble Glass and Uncharted Mariner. I really like the new Distress Oxide Uncharted Mariner. I think it's a really interesting blue. Used it for underwater scene, which was a lot of fun, and now I'm using it kind of as a winter scene, and I could totally see somebody, or myself even, using this as like a winter night sky or something like that. So, on the topic of winter, I figured I would pull out some of my Fine Tech watercolors and move them out of the way so I don't splatter all over them and kind of contaminate them all, which doesn't really matter, but I use my little spray bottle here and get the ink wet and just tap it across my finger, going over all the letters. I find splattering a lot of fun. I think it's neat, all the different types of consistencies of splatter. That's a lot to say, sorry. The consistency of splatters you can get with various objects you use. Now, my finger just wasn't doing too much for it because it's a little meaty, and I just decided, well, I'll just grab this magnet right here and I'll try my best with it. So, and I was really in the splatter mood, so I figured I would take some more, put it on an ink block, add a little water, and then just splatter all over my card panel. Now, as I said in the beginning, this is from a paper pack that has been discontinued. I talk about it in my previous video, and fear not, I do not have that many pieces of pattern paper left of this cardstock. So I apologize if you really like it and need to find it. I can't find it anywhere to leave a link. So I've gone ahead and cut out Let It Snow again from some 110-pound cardstock just to kind of give it a little bit of lift off the front of the paper, and I'm going around with some Tombo mono glue on the top side so I can glue down the splattered two-tone blue Let It Snow on top. So once I'm done that, I will line everything up. Now, I thought about leaving a little shadow at first, but then I thought, I really don't need the shadow because it's going to be on like that light gray cardstock, and I think it'd look nice just as is. I mean, you probably could do a shadow cut on the back side, but I went with this. So here I have the Shutter Card Circle die, which is an outside in stitched, and then one of these stars is from the Small Slimeline with the Lift the Flap die set. And that's also an interactive card, and I forget where the other card or the other star came from. Maybe another interactive set. I can't remember offhand. I'll make sure to leave my description products below, kind of thing, in case you were wondering. I really do like these outside in stitched dies. I find them very versatile. So I'm just using them to kind of create a stitch border around the circles themselves, even though the outside of the card around the edges doesn't really have any stitched other than the snowflakes. But anyway, it all ties together to me and I really like it. So here I'm just going around with some Easy Runner tape and some glue And I figured, no, I'm not going to use the glue. I'm going to use some strong double-sided adhesive because I'm going to put some acetate down on the back side of this because this one is going to be a shaker. The other two that I make aren't shakers. They're just kind of a little bit quicker to make because I had some extra pieces, and I thought, well, you know what, why not? Instead of saving them for another card, I thought I would be clever and do 3 cards. So now I'm coming in with some more glue just around the edges because I don't want any lift from the holes where the acetate's going to show through. I just want to make sure that everything's nice and stuck down and it looks cool. So here I'm just lining everything up, making sure that my holes are all set. I mean, I could have probably cut smaller pieces, but I had already had this cut out sitting around. So my intent here is I am going to take some 1/8 inch double-sided tape and stick it to the bits that are going to overlap on the acetate, and then I will use the Tombo mono glue to glue down the bits that are going to stay stuck to the paper itself, kind of as a double whammy. So, because it takes a long time for glue to dry, and sometimes liquid glue isn't really reliable with acetate because it's a different type of plastic from the glue. And I figure, well, if I could do the double-sided tape, that will hold it down right away, and then that'll give the glue the time to dry to the paper, so it'll stay nice and secure. So I'll go through that and make sure everything's lined up where I need it to be and kind of peel them off as I go. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun making this card. It just kind of came to me. I like the inside out stitched dies, like I said. After making this card, I thought I would check out what other ones that they had and order some because, I don't know, the rectangle, the outside in stitched rectangle, I've gotten more use out of that one than most of my border dies combined. I just think it's a really good die to have if you're going to have it. I know I've spoke about this in previous videos, but I really like it. I mean, I don't need a whole lot of the actual dies to cut out rectangles and stuff. I mean, I do have a Cricut for that, but I don't really use it for simple cuts like that. But once I'm done with that, I'm going to take it, line it up the best that I can, and smoosh everything down so everything's nice and secure. And once I've let the blocks sit on that for a little while, I'm going to take some double-sided foam tape and I am going to strategically place it around the back side of this card. So I'm going to make my little well going around the edges here with some sharp scissors, which I have 2 pairs of scissors for cutting adhesive and then 2 pairs of actual real paper scissors. And I say 2 pairs of adhesive scissors because when you're in the heat of the moment and you've got paper flying left, right, and center, like you're the Muppet Chef, and you've got stuff flying everywhere, and you go to grab a pair of scissors, and it's just coated in adhesive, and you can't cut, well, I just find that it slows my groove down. So I try to clean off both pairs of scissors at the end of each card making or crafting session, because sometimes if I'm at it for a few hours and I'm constantly cutting adhesive, it's good to have a backup pair just in case. Or 9 times out of 10, it's usually because I lose the first pair, and it's usually under the Craftnado that I've created in the living room / craft room. So here I'm just going around trying to create a bit of a well, because I'm going to be using a few different colors, or not colors, but a few different areas of shaker bits in the different star and the circle, and I thought it'd be kind of neat to kind of divide them off so they're not all sitting at the bottom of the card. So I go through a whole spell of this, putting them around, making sure that nothing's going to get out and in, and you get the point here. So once I've Frankensteined everything together, and I'm going to be happy with every little bit, I will take off all of that release card, all of the release paper on the back side. But first, I gotta figure out how I want this to look on the card. Do I want it white, or should I darken up that white? And I think maybe I would take the leftover Tumble Glass and kind of go over those little spots just to darken it up, but not really darken it up, maybe brighten it up would be the better word. Just so there's not so much of a contrasting difference there. So I figured, you know what, well, I'll go in with some the Tumble Glass at the top, and then as I go down to the next one, I'll bring in the leftover, that Uncharted Mariner, just to kind of give it a little dimension there. So once I'm happy with that, I'm going to pull out this awesome little container full of sequins that I bought from Michael's on discount. I think I got this for like $5 or something like that. It was just too ridiculous to pass up, and I wasn't initially going to get it, but they had like these little individual packets of sequins that I think had more than each of these little individual containers. But I figured, you know what, instead of buying them for $1 or $2 each, I'll just pay the $5 and get these. And there's actually a lot more than I considered in each of these. I want to say that they're probably like a Krafts Smart or something. So I know this glitter right here is like a flat hexagon shape, and I believe that's Krafts Smart too. Found that one on discount. Can't knock the discount, especially when they're going into shaker bits. Oh, those were some Recollection micro beads. I've had that jar for a couple of months, and I think when they run out of those, I'll be buying some more of it. So I'm using some low-tack tape, and I am holding down the card itself so I can go around and pull off all the release paper. And to save some time, I've done that off screen, and now I'm going to go around with some glue so that way everything sticks together and nothing's going to fall out, because that's the worst. You know, you forget a piece of release paper around a crucial corner, or you don't glue it down or stick it down tight enough, and you go to flip it over, and oops, your card just kind of dropped a little bit, and it's like, oh, cookies. And it's like, do you try to wiggle them all back in, or do you got to take it apart and ruin the card base? So just making sure that I got the shaded bits all on the proper sides. I'm going to quickly flip that over, mash everything down, and I am happy with that. And there is my Let It Snow shaker card. And as promised, here we have the one we just made, and the other two to go with it. I don't know, these were a lot of fun to make. I kind of like how they both turned out, and they're going into the pile, either to be sent off or to be sold at the next market. So if you've enjoyed today's content or found it helpful, please give this video a like. I also welcome you to subscribe, as I post weekly. Here's another video I think you might enjoy. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Take care.